All right, well, I think we will get underway. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for the webinar on celebrating birds in your community. Sue is going to be advancing the slides for me, and I will just ask one more time, put your name and location of your bird town, bird friendly in the chat, and we'll get moving. Next slide, Sue. So again, keep the mics muted. There is captioning in Spanish available. And if you've got questions as we go along, please put them in the chat. Some of them may be answered as we go. Others we'll try and get at the end. And if there's time and it works, we may even just open the floor for folks who are comfortable to ask questions. We are recording this, so if you are not comfortable with being recorded, make sure your camera is off. Next. So the group of folks that are joining us today are all from the Bird City Network. We are currently over 250 communities across 4 countries, the Western Hemisphere, growing quickly. And everybody's pushing in the same direction, trying to make their communities healthier for both birds and for people. So you all are in on the floor of something that we hope to see really explode in the next 5 years. Next. We are all working together. I mentioned we're pushing in the same direction to do 4 things. Increase habitat. I think you have to advance this a little, Sue, to get all 4 of them up.
Yeah, I did. Are you not seeing that? I'm
Oh,
seeing.
there we go.
Yeah, they should all be up.
So increasing habitat, reducing threats, engaging people, and Bird City is a great vehicle for doing all of these things. World Migratory Bird Day is also a great vehicle for doing all of these things. So the Bird City program and World Migratory Bird Day being really closely united makes a lot of sense. And so today we're here to talk a little bit more about World Migratory Bird Day that can happen as part of Bird City. It's also nice to just always take a minute and stop and step back and look at the birds for a minute. These are the reason we're here. People are passionate about birds. The things we are doing are to protect birds, try and increase their been declining. And just think about the first time you saw any of these, how excited you were, and how many people there are out there who have never gotten a good look at a bird like this. So birds are a great engagement tool and a great way to kind of promote community sustainability, but it's on us to introduce the world to them. The people you're going to see bump into today and when you work on Bird City Network are these 3 folks. Joanna Eccles is in the chat. She's the American Bird Conservancy Bird City Network Coordinator. So if you interact with Bird City in the US and North America, you're going to be talking to Joanna. I work for American Bird Conservancy as well. I'm the Bird City Network Director. I tend to be a little bit more behind the scenes than out doing the daily work. And then Sue Bonfield, the executive director for Environment for the Americas, the home of World Migratory Bird Day, also plays a big role. Environment for the Americas kind of puts Bird City Network on the ground in Latin America and the Caribbean. And ABC is responsible for doing that in the United States while managing some of like the overall things and features like the website. We also have great support. Kind of skip that. It's okay. Great support from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The Region 3 gave us a nice grant to help get the network going and get the website built. And the Urban Bird Treaty Program has been here supporting us every single year. So, thank you to both of those groups. We owe them a lot. The way the Bird City Network works is you can kind of think of the network as an umbrella that is over the top of the programs. So the goal of the network is to make programs easier to run and operate. It's also to go out and recruit and start programs in places where they don't exist. The programs pictured here are the first 11 that we launched with. So this is our initial group that fledged at the same time. And each of the programs works with its communities. So the Bird City Network, at our level, we're not really interacting with communities, but our end goal is to make Bird City actions easier for communities to take. We've got a pretty map to show where we exist right now. In 2025, we expect to launch Oregon, Michigan, and Missouri, as well as a program in the Caribbean and another in Panama. Our long-term goal is to make sure that there are no white spaces left on this map. So that's where we're hopefully heading with all of you. When it comes to doing the actual work of becoming a bird city, getting recognized, we break it into those four categories we mentioned: habitat, threats, people, and sustainability. Underneath each of those, we've got what are called best practices. And these are kind of the larger, more generic types of actions you could take within each of those categories. Within each application system, underneath each of these, like invasive animals, you've got a whole bunch of different options that you can take that are more specific actions. And the theme for World Migratory Bird Day this year really aligns perfectly with Bird City. It aligns perfectly with Bird City every year. But this year, kind of overall, the World Migratory Bird Day theme is shared spaces and creating bird-friendly cities and communities. And so really you can see a lot of focus on some of the things we've got highlighted here in the orange. But World Migratory Bird Day events are one of the things we really like to see in as many communities as possible. And that is what Sue is going to tell you more about starting right now.
Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate it. And I'm so excited to have everyone on today. And I have way too many slides for you and way too much to share with you. And um, I'll try to get through it as best I can. We'd love it if you have questions, you can put them in the chat box. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll go back and open it up for any questions from you or any suggestions you might have for your partners out there. But I'll get started with the World Migratory Bird Day part of this. And yes, as Brian said, our conservation theme this year is shared spaces, creating bird-friendly cities and communities. And it's just a perfect one for bird cities. So we're excited to have everyone join in this year. So what I'll do today is just give you a little history for those of you who've forgotten or don't know much about it, share the theme, tell you where to go for resources, update you on materials, and then we'll discuss some ways that you can all host events and activities that are World Migratory Bird Day types of events. And then I like to thank all the sponsors that make World Migratory Bird Day possible. These are the many organizations and agencies that have helped to protect birds and are also very enthusiastic about community programs that engage your citizens and your communities in learning about birds, the threats they face, and how they can protect them. I have one logo missing right now because we have Feather Friendly, which is a window film company, which will come on as a partner sponsor. So we're excited to add their logo when it's ready. But again,
I can sit in there and listen.
many thanks to those partners. Our team is also based across the Western Hemisphere. We work from Canada to Argentina and the Caribbean. We have a team members in Mexico, Central and South America, and the Caribbean, and so they help us work in the places where they live and in the languages in which they speak. And then this is our full team at Environment for the Americas, just so you can get to know us a little bit better. And everybody ends up working on World Migratory Bird Day at some point when they're working for Environment for the Americas. Our goal is to connect people to nature and bird conservation, and we do that with many different groups across the Western Hemisphere. So, whether it's Argentina or Canada, we're working with youth and adults. We also work with hearing impaired and mobility challenged. So, our groups are run the gamut, and we have programs for everyone. The art is always a key point in the programming, and you'll get to see that. You've already seen some of it. And if you haven't seen the full piece, I hope you love it as much as we do. But our artists also come from across the Western Hemisphere. So we've had artists from the US, from Canada, Mexico, Central and South America, and the Caribbean. And our focus is protecting birds in their habitats, and we do that through research, outreach, education, and training. So the reason why World Migratory Bird Day is an essential part of Bird City program, it grew up with the Bird City program, and we learned that when we watched the Wisconsin program grow, and we saw the World Migratory Bird Day programs growing along with it. Our goals overlap completely in terms of education and protection, conservation and stewardship, sustainability. The criteria that Bird City set up is also what we set up for World Migratory Bird Day and how we want to work with people on the ground. So some of the ways that we also want to work is in influencing our decision makers and informing our decision makers. A lot of people, as you know, don't know birds very well, and they certainly don't know migratory birds, and maybe don't understand the incredible journeys they make to get between breeding and nesting sites. And so it's up to us to share that information and to help them understand, what are the challenges along the way. And what are the ways that they can help to reduce those challenges and what can we do? Our goal is it's great Jackson Park dimmed the lights for migrating birds on Saturday. And now what we want to do is we want to take that farther and we want to make sure they're dimming the lights every night for migratory birds. So this year with shared spaces, creating bird-friendly cities and communities, that's what we're doing. We're actually pulling together a lot of different topics that cities and communities and actions that they can take to make their spaces more friendly. Just so you know, the program is not just hemispheric, it is global. We work with our partners at the Convention on Migratory Species, at the African Eurasian Waterbird Agreement, at the East Asian Australasian Flyway Partnership to develop this program for Asia, Europe, Africa, Australia, all around the world. So we are the green flyway here, and CMS and the other groups take the yellow and the blue. But we work together and we meet every week to go over our plans for the year. So it's quite a concerted effort, and we appreciate that partnership. That also means that our messaging is out in many, 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 many different languages. This is just a small list of some of the languages that the conservation theme and the World Migratory Bird Day title are translated into. It's always fun to see them that way. And if you've been following Migratory Bird Day for a while, you'll know that we have touched on a number of topics, and we're usually very on top of it and hit them in a very timely way. So you can see, for example, our plastic pollution image on the left with the birds looking at a bottle cap in the water. This was one of the ways that we made people aware that this is not just a marine mammal or marine, organism problem. It also affects birds, and it affects birds not only in water, but in other parts of their habitats and journeys. We've also touched on why birds matter, habitat, stopover sites, and most recently the importance of insects to birds. So we've had it's a really fun program to develop every year. So I don't know if you know the official date for World Migratory Bird Day. You can put it in the chat if you think you know but it is the second Saturday of May and the second Saturday of October. I didn't see that they put it in there that way. But we know that you're all in different places. And so for Texas, when birds arrive or are passing through or stopping over might be quite different from when that happens where I live in Colorado. So um, we've opened it up so that we say Bird Day is every day. We encourage you to host your program when it works best for you. I used to get a poster from Rocky Mountain National Park in May, and they would be standing in thigh-deep snow, and they would tell me, "Gosh, I wish this was a different time of year." And we're like, Yeah, they're right. We need to open it up. So they now host it in June, and it works really well for them, right when Wilson's warblers are coming back. So this is our beautiful poster, and this is a new approach for us. We rarely put in human elements into a World Migratory Bird Day poster, but this one is filled with ways that you can, things that you can do to help birds. You should be able to find about 8 in here. We're real excited to be featuring pane glass and window film that you can put on pane glass. It is the first time we've ever discussed cats, and so you might see that cute little kitty behind the window. Power lines and lighting, big buildings in the background, clean water, native plants, and there's even a little caterpillar to keep our discussion about insects going. So there are all kinds of things tucked into this poster. It's really a very educational poster, probably, I think, visually one of the most educational ones we've ever had. So I'm so excited about it. This is our artist, and I want to give big credit to Ana Maria Savarino Drago. She is from Mexico City, Mexico, and she is a talented artist. She is a tattoo artist. As you see, she's an illustrator. She's done so many types of illustrations and work, and she actually illustrated our plastic pollution pamphlet the year that we focused on plastics. And we just want to share in this conversation how your bird cities can get involved and what you can do. If you look at World Migratory Bird Day and you say, "Oh my goodness, that's a big event. I just don't know if I can do that." We're going to make it easy for you. So just to give you a little information, every year we have focal species for the event, and you can play with these species or add your own. We make the art available to you and different icons and educational pieces about them. So for the Americas, we have the American robin, American redstart, the red knot. Giant hummingbird is a South American migratory species, and the peregrine falcon. And then moving around the world, we also have the white stork, gray-lag goose, and that covers our species for the year. We provide you with just about everything you need to put together your program, and I'm going to show you where to get these items. But for example, you'll see that we have icons you can share on your social media if you're doing social media. We have flyers you can download to use to promote your event. And I see people taking these and using different components and editing them. They're definitely there for you to use as you need. We have a t-shirt vote going on right now, so you can see the t-shirt design. It's a fun thing to have at your event, and we can personalize it with your logo on the sleeve. I have all sorts of icons and Facebook banners, this Zoom background, anything you might want to use as you move forward. Our website, we have two websites actually. So we have one just for Migratory Bird Day, which is migratorybirdday.org. But we also have environmentamericas.org, and you can go to this page to find our education resources in our resource library. So this is the place where we have everything from the past 10 or more years. There are coloring pages, PowerPoint presentations, flyers, information sheets, species fact sheets, education ideas. There's just so much on there, focusing on all types of topics from plastic pollution to why birds matter to insects to, of course, we'll be uploading our current materials as we move along here. We also have what's called a Trello board, and you can find this on migratorybirdday.org in the resources section. And this is another place where you can download materials and get what you need. We update it throughout the year as we find new activities to share with you. But this is, again, the place where you can go to get messaging. You can find press releases that you can use and adapt for your community, images of our focal species. There's just a wealth of information here also. And what we're trying to do is make it easy for people who are more comfortable with certain spaces than others. Some people love the Trello board is what this is called. Others would rather go to the resource library. And so it just depends on what you want to do. We also have a World Migratory Bird Day event map, and we do hope that you will share with us what you're doing. This is the way that we can keep up with who's celebrating and what your activities are. It helps us with support, funding support for the program when we can show how many communities we reach and all the great activities you're doing. It really helps us talk to our potential sponsors, and it helps your states and your communities understand how important this is and what a big part of it, bird conservation and just the love of birds and bird tourism or whatever you want to share with them is, so that they understand that you, as their constituent, this is what you want. It's easy to register on this. You just fill in the blanks and good to go. We go in and approve it. So when you put it on this map, it won't show up right away. But after we go in, we just don't want any spam in here or any, you know, other types of events. So we go in and we check it and we approve it, and then your dot will show up on the map. We also want you to put it on the Bird City Network map. So when you go into your events, it's really helpful if you add your event through that add button that's there with the big arrow. It's really easy to do. So if you can just add it there. And then, of course, want to make sure that you publish it by going to the bottom. And Joanna, I see, is putting some more information in the chat box, and she's, I know, really good at communicating with you and providing with you with information about how to do this. So you'll have good instructions for how to take care of that. So just looking at some of the ways that and things that you can consider when you're doing your programming, and we'll take the American robin. This is such a common species. So it's not a species of concern. It's not a species that's on any list, but it is a species that everybody knows, and it's a species that is impacted by probably every one of the topics that we're presenting on the poster. One of the very specific ones is cats. And in doing our research on the American robin, we find that American robin for wildlife rehabilitators is one of the most common bird species that is brought in. It costs about $100 to rehabilitate a robin if you can save it. And this again is one of the most common species that's brought in. Now that's the ones that are brought in. So if cats are getting robins, then they may be getting, nestlings or fledglings. If they're being hit by windows, of course, it just depends on if you find them. And then, of course, if they're being impacted by any chemicals that are put on lawns that might impact, the food that they're getting, the worms or whatever they're eating, that might be something we never know about. Lights also have an impact. So lights on at night can disturb birds' behavior. It can cause them to change their rhythms, wake them up early, keep them up late. And of course, that's a waste of their energy and depletes their ability to take care of themselves during the rest of the day, just like us. So again, looking at the cat topic, we have fun things coming your way that I'll talk about in a little bit. And then, of course, shade coffee for all of our bird species that are migrating long distances to shade coffee plantations. Um, we'll have the Smithsonian Migratory Bird Center involved with their bird-friendly shade coffee, talking about how we can promote shade coffee and support birds where they overwinter. So what's coming your way, and what else are we providing you besides resources? And those resources that I showed you, you can not only find to download, but you can also purchase other materials if you're having a program. We have fun things like stickers and Bird Buddy bracelets and all sorts of things on our shop. But we also have big plans for you for the year. So we'll be hosting a series of webinars, and we'll send out the links to you after this presentation so that you can see what we have going. But starting in February, on every third Thursday, we'll have bird-friendly cities and communities with author Tim Beatley. We'll have shade-grown coffee with Smithsonian Migratory Bird Center, and we'll bring in a coffee grower. And of course, this is a really important way of growing coffee where it grows with trees and other plants, sometimes banana trees, other trees. And what that does is it provides a structure so that birds have more than just the coffee bush, where they can overwinter, find shade, find food. Some of the big coffee plantations, for example, if you're buying Maxwell House or Folgers, those are just huge fields, kind of like any other agricultural field where you would, you know, where you would grow a crop. And those, of course, are not as good for birds in terms of providing habitat and food. They're very exposed. So shade coffee plantations are important for our migratory species and resident species. We'll bring your own Brian Lentz and Michael Major of Fatal Light Awareness Programs on for a discussion of collisions. And then in May, we'll have Jeff Lossos, who's written a book called The Cat's Meow. He'll come in to talk about cat biology. And then real excited to have Albert and Mia. Albert has trained his cat Mia to walk on a leash, and his cat travels everywhere with him. And it's just really great to see that you can train your cat and your cat can be active. You'll hear from a Catio company. Those are enclosures that you can attach to your house. And then Grant Sizemore of ABC will join us to give us some stats and the science behind the impact of cats on birds. And we'll continue that series in the summer and in the fall. Another big announcement that we have this year is that we have joined up with the Big Sit, and so they will become part of our World Migratory Bird Day programming. If you haven't heard about the Big Sit, it's a really nice way to engage just everybody in bird watching and learning about birds. And what you do is you have a circle. You've probably heard of the Christmas bird count, and you have a circle. Well, this is a different circle, and it's a much smaller circle. It's just a circle where you and your buddies and anybody else you want to invite go sit, and you record every bird that you see or hear and submit that to a database. So it's real fun. And again, it's just a really nice way to include people who, may not be able to go on a bird walk or just want to take a few moments to come sit in your circle and see what you got. You can do it on your deck. So we'll be joining with them, and they'll be promoting the conservation theme as well. So now we get to the point of our discussion about events and how to put on an event, and what might be scary about an event. So people hear World Migratory Bird Day and they think, oh my goodness, do I have to do like a 3-day festival? I don't have the capacity to do that. And we want to assure you that a World Migratory Bird Day can be a program, it can be a presentation, it can be a morning event, it can be a full day event. Certainly, it can be a longer event, but there's no particular design for a World Migratory Bird Day program. Our goal is really to help you get the message out the best way you can in your community with the capacity that you have within your organizations and programs. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I have always seen over the years as kind of the natural growth of a Bird City program. And this is from our own experience too, because Environment for the Americas started its own Migratory Bird Day way back when. And so we felt your pain too, if that's how you're feeling about it. So first, if you're very new to events and programs and you're like, I don't know what to do, our recommendation for any group starting an event is to keep it very simple in your first years. And our rule of thumb is at least 3 years. Keep it small. If you have a large membership, then you may be able to start bigger because you've already got a committed audience. But if you don't, and you don't have those connections with the broader community, you'll have to start smaller. So keep it simple and work with partners who do have bigger lists, and do what you know. So if what you know is leading a bird walk, do that. If what you know is doing presentations, do that. If what you know is doing restoration projects, do that. Those are all really great ways to bring in people who don't know about birds and don't know about bird conservation. What we ask is that you include the conservation theme. We want people to learn about, the threats to birds and what they can take home with them to make changes to their lifestyle. So that's what we would really appreciate to consider it a Migratory Bird Day event. if you have some experience doing programs, then what's really nice is just to be able to start adding on a little bit. So each year we did the same thing. We started adding on a little bit of time and a little bit of more activities, and it started to grow and grow. And if you think about it, most of the big bird festivals out there actually started as Migratory Bird Day festivals. So if there's anybody on from, let's see, where do you have programs? Well, I'll just think of the ones you might have heard of. The Leavenworth Bird Festival in Washington State. That one's is a Migratory Bird Day event, and they always acknowledge that it's a Migratory Bird Day event, but they changed it to the Leavenworth Bird Fest. The biggest week in America, that week-long amazing event that brings in I don't know how many people, it was Migratory Bird Day at McGee Marsh because it's associated with the McGee Marsh National Wildlife Refuge. And so they just grew it and grew it. And so it became the biggest week in America. So a lot of the festivals, are out there. So you might find yours growing. So watch out. But we always say add a focus, create a new aspect to your event, add a new partner. And those can be broad. And what our annual conservation themes allow you to do is to bring on more and more partners. So, for example, the year that we did plastic pollution, we brought in the recycling groups, we brought in other groups that were concerned about plastics. And you can do the same. Other partners, libraries are excellent partners, local colleges and universities, they're phenomenal. Your open space, of course, probably a lot of the ones that you're already working with, but always making sure to bring in partners gets you more people and more notice and more ways to share your messages. And then if you're really getting big and you're like 3 years, like we found ourselves with hundreds of people coming to our event. In fact, we got so big that our open space kicked us out for a while and said we were too big for the space. So we had to leave and find a new location. But diversifying your activities. So, for example, you might want to have an evening presentation tied in with your morning event or full day event or whatever it is that you do. I noticed during the insect programming that people were having panel discussions in their communities. Really nice thing to do. It's a big topic, the pesticides that we use. Um, Pulling in other groups that might have bird banding stations or, whatever you want to do. For us this year, we think we're going to add a fall event in addition to our spring event. It'll be a different event, but we're going to have that. So that's fun. Nebraska does a full month of events and has a website where you can find them all. So there's just any number of ideas out there. So now I'm going to move into, before I open it up and let you talk about what you're doing and what are some good ideas, just share with you some of what you have been doing. And so this was a fun one that came from which bird city is this? Well, this was talking about the theme. And it's such a good way, even if you can't do an event, is to get your word out through your local media. So it was fun to see all the news articles, and we keep a collection of these every year. We're making it into bigger news pieces. We were on NPR this year. We've been in some of the bigger magazines. So it's really fun to see that this is happening and it gets out to an even bigger community. Love seeing what Algoma does. They always have great flyers. And from the 2020 event, which was, as you remember, COVID. So it was great to be able to do anything that year. And then coming into this year, last year, 2024, when they focused on insects and where they had all kinds of great activities associated with birds and bugs, with this panel discussion, winged wonders. So just really a lot of great activities coming from Algoma. So thanks so much for all that you do if you're on this call. And then this is Fond du Lac, and I just know a lot of the Wisconsin groups because we've been working with them so long. And they have this full schedule. So if you're really getting there, you can see what an organization does that's really expanded their programming. And look at all the partners they have. This is just so fun. They have the Arboretum, the library, art. I mean, yeah, that's right. I don't want to forget art. Art is at the heart of Migratory Bird Day. So bringing in art and artists and art into your program, bike ride to birding, um, even the frame shop is involved. That's just so amazing to have the whole community in on it like that. And then this is Texas. So just a real celebration of birds and a recognition of their beauty. We have all events. And again, um, we really do like you to bring in that insect component. Um, Even our past themes, the activities that we've recommended for those, this is kind of pulling in the last decade of programming through Migratory Bird Day. So, of course, plastic pollution cleanups are really important. And then just always, you know, helping people who've never watched birds. We know that Migratory Bird Day it's a gateway program. Most of our visitors don't have any experience with birds. They haven't used binoculars, they haven't used a spotting scope, and it's a really, really big deal to them to get to do that. And I've had parents come up and say, oh, my son saw a bird through the spotting scope, and just things that get them excited about doing it, about bird watching. Our Latin American partners, I want to recognize the great work they do. They have these amazing costume competitions, presentations, and of course, bird watching. Our Columbia Bird City program has been super active in all that they do, and they also have a 5-day event now, and they are, wow, they're only 2 years old. Last year, I went down and they even had a race for the birds. So we ran 4.7 miles through the whole town in some amazing bird shirts that I just loved. So we're almost to your time. So at our last discussion, those of you who attended, got to put up some ideas that you had for this year and what you might like to do. So we've put this up again, and they included things like native plant sales and non-traditional partners, kid-friendly programs, non-bird group community partners, wildscape workshops, inclusive birding options, raptor shows, themed art, all sorts of activities that you had all thought of as well. And we're going to add to that by saying that as a part of our monthly webinars, starting in we'll be launching it in February to take place throughout the year. We're going to have monthly competitions, and you can use those to engage your community. So our first one is going to focus on shade coffee, and we'll be asking people to send in some sort of photo of shade coffee and how it relates to their connections to birds and bird conservation. And then we'll pick a winner from that and they'll win a prize. For the Collisions Month, for example, Feather Friendly is going to donate window film, and we're going to be looking for schools and groups that are working with buildings. And that film will be donated to the winning sites to make their windows more bird friendly. Host a catio tour. Make sure people know what a catio is, a little enclosure like this where birds can be outdoors but not free roaming. Identify problem glass, bring in experts, and just provide education at your events while you're bird walking, talk about the conservation theme. So I'm going to end there. These are the resources and locations where you can go, and we can put this in the chat as well so that you can get to all these websites, and you'll see that we have two, our organizational website and then the migratorybirdday.org website. And if you go to Environment Americas, you'll get to the Migratory Bird Day site as well. So no worries about that. And then ABC with the Collisions site and the Cats Indoors site. And then of course your own Bird City Network site. So I think that was my last one, and I will stop. Okay, I think I'm about 4 minutes over, but I'm going to take a breath and say thank you all for listening patiently. And we'll open it up now for any questions or comments or suggestions to the entire group. And what you could do is if you want to ask a question, you can raise your hand, or you can put your question in the chat box if you have a suggestion for what you would like to do. I see in the chat box that Brian says that you can hire a storyteller, and that's a great idea. Storytelling is wonderful. So that's a wonderful idea. Um, I'm not catching any more. There's a question about what is shade coffee. And again, I think Brian, you answered that. So coffees where there is a shade tree canopy above it, which provides some more diversity and structure. Can we clarify how we would work with Environment for the Americas on the donation of the window kits? Yeah, so we're working out the details with Feather Friendly, but they're going to be making available to us a certain number of education kits. So those would be kits that you could take to events to show people how window film works. And then in terms of like the competition for the free window film, that's going to be um, an open call for people, organizations, whoever wants to participate in submitting the materials that we request, and then those will be reviewed and a winner selected. So what Feather Friendly wants to do is to have a part of the competition be for schools. So we'll be reaching out to everyone, all of you who work with schools. This is a great opportunity to get them involved. They want to see an essay from the school or from children about the topic, and we'll refine that with Feather Friendly. And then for the building one, the same thing. We'll be refining what that competition looks like and getting that out. And thanks, Brian. I see that and we hear this from a lot of people, especially people who are bird guides, that you're really busy in the spring during the official time. So you do a late summer pollinator festival on hummingbirds and monarch butterflies. So that sounds like a great event. So yeah, we have events almost every month of the year. I would say that August is probably the least. Yes, we'll be working closely with Joanna and Brian to get this information out to all of you bird cities. So you'll be hearing more about where you can get the materials, how you can sign up for the webinars, everything that you need.
There's also a couple of hires, Sue. Do you have resources about migration in general? And also there's one about a potential like sharing through Canva so that people could customize.
Oh, now that's an
Well,
interesting idea.
before we go off the newsletters, both Bird City Network and World Migratory Bird Day have newsletters. So we can send information on how you can sign up to those for everybody who attended today too.
And if you go to any of our websites, you're going to get a message that comes up that asks if you want to sign up. Our newsletter is weekly, so we do updates weekly. Linda, did you want to say something? Linda Smith.
Oh, hi. No, I'm enjoying your webinar though.
Okay, good. You're welcome to turn on your camera and share your best activity. Does anybody have one out there they'd like to share?
I could share a little bit, and I just put it in the chat. I'm Lynn Wheeler with the town of La Plata. We were the first bird city in Maryland, and World Migratory Bird Day has really been such a helpful and integral part of us being a bird city, and we feature it with all the information about the theme and event, little craft things for the kids at our spring festival, at our fall festival. We also have a nonprofit group that does a large nature fest in town every year too. So I always have a booth there too with all the information about the theme for that year. And this year we're adding something new because last year we created a bird city pocket park, all native plants and designed into it. So we're going to have in June a Paint the Town with Pollinators event. And it'll be all kinds. The kids will even have chalk to color on the sidewalks, different, pollinator, type items. And World Migratory Bird Day has just been great, integral part of Bird City Network. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much. Can I use your words?
By all means.
Say that.
And my contact in the state of Maryland, Pamela Kellett, I think she's on too. She's been great also. And, we just really enjoy the whole kit and caboodle.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you so much. That sounds great. And I love the pocket park idea. That's amazing.
We even have our local arts group with the town. She designed this archway in the park, and it's all little birdhouse boxes. And they're all kind of purple colored because we made in the town, our official bird is the purple martin because we have a large purple martin roost in town. So we kind of feature that bird too.
Oh, that's so nice. That's excellent.
It's been fun.
I think the art is such a spirit part of the program, and we
Yeah.
love seeing that. And it plays out in so many ways with like dance and masks and
We're just about to do some crosswalks near the park with bird and bee and, pollinator type paintings on the crosswalks.
oh my gosh, is that so cute? So what are you going to do? Have like a duck with the little ducklings following it, walking across?
I know for a fact that the Purple Martin is on one of them. She's still working on that artwork, but that's going to be happening soon too. We're hoping to have that done prior to the Paint the Town with Pollinator event in June.
Oh, that's amazing.
And she's done artwork on our buildings in town. She opened up a business, Bird City Records.
That's great.
We're a little nuts. Just
Oh
to
no,
let
we love that. And you need to meet some of the other partners. Like in Latin America, one of our towns is making an entire block be a bird mural.
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you for what you do. It's much appreciated.
Oh, thanks for all your enthusiasm and for such great work. Anybody else want to open up?
Judith has a message in the chat. Judith is one of the coordinators of Bird City, Texas. Would you like to speak out loud, or do you want me to read it,
Sure,
Judith?
I can speak out loud, but it's also in the chat. Hopefully it's legible and understandable. I was just going to suggest that on I guess it's April 26th this year, it's National Go Birding Day. And that coincides with the City Nature Challenge, which is started out nationally and is now international. And so various cities across the nation and internationally join this effort to kind of gather data, especially around urban areas, to kind of see what kind of species are growing, flora as well as fauna. And that can be very insightful as to when you're looking at the habitat in your city. And if there are particular actions, I mean, you can create a project for a particular site. So we have some of our businesses that have campuses and they invite the local Master Naturalist volunteers and Audubon volunteers, just various groups and volunteers for a iNaturalist Day. And it's very simple to do. Essentially, you just need somebody there to kind of guide people as to where they can go. And if they're set up, and we usually have small trainings the month before, online ones for people who aren't familiar with iNaturalist to get them going. And it's really easy to get signed up into iNaturalist. So you just go out and take pictures and upload it. And then all that data is collected. If you upload it, you don't have to do anything other than upload it. And then if you make a project for your particular site, what that does is it gathers data for that area that you may be managing. And so therefore you can kind of have kind of a baseline survey starting out. And then over the years, if you're continually doing it, it shows you how the habitat might be changing for birds on that site. So again, most people are taking pictures of small insects, but again, insects are the food sources for many of our birds as well. So all connects to birds in many ways.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I hadn't heard.
I have a question too to Judith about that. Can it only be done on April 26th?
Well, oh no, well, City Nature Challenge is 4 days. It's actually, I'm
Good.
sorry, thank you for asking that. It's
Okay.
Friday through Monday. So that would
Excellent.
be April 25th through the 28th this year.
Excellent.
This year.
I'll work that into my bird walk on the 27th.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome.
Okay. Any other ideas anybody'd like to share? So much wonderful stuff, some wonderful things going on out there. Is there anything that you find challenging or that you need help with or that would be a good resource for you to have that nobody's offered before? Katie, do you want to go live and unmute yourself, Katie Koppel? Kappel? Kappel? Are you out
There
there?
you go. Yes, we did our world. You had our poster on your presentation. Our in Kerrville last year, our World Migratory Bird Day was at one of our partners who's a private facility that's partly a garden shop and partly a restaurant. And now they've built a pollinator garden. And they were very enthusiastic about it and collected donations for our Bird City Kerrville effort. So that was pretty exciting because they did a lot of the work and we had speakers on different bird topics. And so now we're talking about whether we should do it there again or move to one of the parks.
Oh, that's
But they
fun.
were
Yeah,
very and they made a profit because they have a restaurant and a garden shop while they were doing this.
oh, nice. Yeah, I know that fundraising for these events can be challenging. It's a lot of energy and work and costs a bit of money and time and volunteers and all of that. And we started getting sponsors for ours. We got a local museum that gave us $1,000 and uh, we think we could do more. We just haven't had time. But people do have funding, especially for your local events. So I think any way of reaching out to those groups is so nice. Coffee shops would be great partners, I think. I think it would be fun to have a bunch of like coffee days. So Lynn is talking about that. Um, I think, there's just so many places you can work with through Migratory Bird Day. Anyone else out there with ideas or challenges or a resource? We're always looking for what do you need? What do you need us to do for you? Flyers, materials. What's a specific material you wish we offered?
Stu, I'll ask a question to the group because one of the things we're trying to do with the network is help you all work together more, help you all share ideas that have been successful where you are. And one of the things we've talked about doing this year is helping you make sure the wider community where you are knows that you are a designated community, whether it's a bird city, a bird town, or a bird friendly community. And so we're going to be working with whoever has ideas about how to get that out for you. It might be something as simple as, did you know we are a bird city? Come to this webinar and we would share Environment for the Americas webinar information about bird-friendly coffee. Then that could be a flyer available to you to put up in your coffee shops or something like that. But we'd love to get your ideas on what would help you spread that word more broadly where you are. So we'll be asking that in our newsletters and in our correspondence with you. So we appreciate hearing from you.
And then I see the question about Bird City Network working with Bee City. I think doesn't it depend on you and what partnerships you want to make at any bird city that you're in?
Yeah, well, we like to picture the trifecta, Bird City, Bee City, Tree City, and
Oh, yeah.
certainly many are affiliated with both, but we work loosely with them. For example, our pesticides webinar that we did last year was with, Bee City, and so that partnership could grow certainly and sort of synergize efforts.
We've met each other. Where we go from here, we'll see.
All right. We managed to make it like right on the hour. That was impressive. I hope I didn't talk too fast.
And we will pull together the comments, the links, and send them back out in two ways. In an email to everybody who joined, and we'll also make like a news item that on the Bird City website so that you have easy access to those. So.
And like Sue said, we're always looking for feedback on any aspect of Bird City or World Migratory Bird Day and how this can be better for you and more meaningful for your communities. So don't hesitate to get in touch with any of us if you've got a good idea.
Yeah, and I want to encourage you to do that because we want to highlight you. We want to recognize you in our social media. We do that. We recognize, hey, look what's going on at this bird event. We want to get that up, but we need your information. We need your photos. We want to know what you're up to. So please, please, please share that with all of us. All right. I think we can close the recording then, if I can find it. Yes, there it is.